Hello. Welcome to the Sanibel Captiva Guides podcast. Delighted to introduce to you a badass lady who is actually...
Badass, yes.
Sorry, I can't say that. It's my English accent
that.
coming through, is it? Yeah. And basically, we went to a little trip. Let's set a bit of background on here. We went to a little trip. Laurie came up with this trip to travel away from... We were going down to... Chokoloskee, which I can call it 7 different things, but not Chokoloskee, because I always get it wrong. But anyway, so we were down there for the day, and we met a lady in the Rangers shop, or the Rangers station, and she was talking about what we're going to be talking about today. Hence, a big circle. Coming back around, we have Amy Siewe here. And any guesses for what she does? Little hint here. Right. If you're listening to this, there's a big python skin right across the front of the table. She is a female, not that makes any difference, but one of the rare female professional python hunters. That deserves a round of applause.
I think so too.
Well, thank you.
We should have played that game, like guess my profession, because looking at you,
I don't think anyone would guess.
You would, yeah.
People don't generally think that I'm a Python hunter.
So, Amy, just to figure out, put everybody on the right path, how did you become a python hunter?
And what is a professional python hunter, basically?
Okay, this could take a minute, so I'm going to back up just a minute because people do always ask me, why do you do this? Why do you like snakes? What is going on? So the whole snake fascination started when I was, 3. My dad put me in a creek, taught me how to catch fish and crawdads and snakes.
And where was that? Where were you growing up? Okay.
Ohio.
Yay, Ohio.
So, yeah. So my snake fascination just kind of took off after that. And snakes have always, I was a breeder. I did educational programs. I did exotic vet, exotic pet store, all that growing up. But it was more of a hobby. And then I learned that there was a problem with invasive pythons in Florida. And I thought, wait a minute, I need to check this out. So my fiance and I came down to Florida for 3 weeks in January of 2019. And he runs a business. I was, a real estate broker for 13 years and was running my business just to kind of see what everything was all about, if he could run his business from down here. And we went on a python hunt with one of my good friends now, Donna Khalil, and we caught a python. And I was hooked.
Oh, really?
I was hooked.
Oh, my God.
So in less than 2 months after we got back and it was -30 with the wind chill.
Okay. You're like, let's go back to Florida. Yeah.
Less than 2 months after we got back from our vacation, I moved down here to see what I needed to do to become a python hunter.
That's fantastic.
Crazy.
And then just to explain for those that don't know, what are the problems with the pythons? What type of pythons? Why is it an issue in the Everglades, and why is your job in existence?
Sure. So these are Burmese pythons, and they were they still are very popular pets. And they don't belong here. They're originally from Southeast Asia. But the problem is these things get to be 20 feet long. And so when people have them as pets, they hit 9, 10, 11 feet, and they just get too hard to feed and handle and house. So they say, okay, well, I'm not going to kill my snake. I'm going to let it live a long, happy life in the Everglades.
I'm going to release.
And a lot of people did that.
Yeah.
The other factor, though, also was Hurricane Andrew in 1992.
I didn't know that.
It came through and it demolished a breeding facility and sent thousands of little baby Burmese pythons into the Everglades.
I had no idea about that.
I've never heard that.
No, that's crazy.
Yes.
So is that around the time that they started having problems, or is it, what year did they actually recognize there was an issue?
In 2001 was when they saw the first hatchling, and they thought, wait a minute, this isn't good. Nobody's going to let their $200 little hatchling go in the Everglades.
Gotcha.
We have a problem.
And what was the breeding center that was wiped out by the hurricane? What was that? Was that a government facility, or was that a private?
I believe it was private. I don't have a lot of details on it.
Right. Okay. Wow. Incredible. And then now you can see by their skin, for those listening, we've got probably a 8-foot table here, and this python skin is hanging off either end. So you can tell by the size of it, it's probably about 18 inches wide in the middle.
You can see it right there.
Yeah. Incredible size. Yeah. And, So tell us a little bit about, so they're trying to eradicate, I read on your website that obviously they're probably not going to eradicate, but keep back the numbers. Tell us a little bit about the process of going out and hunting
Well, I will tell you that. Let me back up and kind of answer another piece that I didn't answer before. The reason that these guys are such a problem is because they have been eating all of the mammals and birds. 98% of the mammals are gone in parts of the Everglades.
Oh, wow.
Because of the pythons.
So what are we talking about? Mammals, as far, obviously mammals, but what, rabbits? Are we talking about?
They eat rabbits, squirrels, raccoons, possums, bobcats, deer.
Deer even, yeah.
Pigs. Granted, the wild hogs are invasive, but
Yeah.
So do you? I don't know. I'm probably jumping ahead a bit here, but the one thing that I think of, if you're running around trying to catch these, do you ever bump into other species?
Oh, I do a lot.
Yeah.
That's kind of the fun thing about being in the Everglades. There's
You
never a
never
dull
know.
moment.
Right.
We
What are you
always
going to
see,
find?
yeah, really cool things. So what I do, so the state hired contractors, basically Python hunters, to go out, and we're paid to look for the pythons and get them out of the Everglades.
And when did the state start that program?
This started in 2017.
Okay,
It was
so
kind of
not that long ago.
Yeah, it was more of an experiment to try to see, hey, is this going to work? And they had no idea it was going to be so successful. So they started with 25, and then I think they hired the next 25, which was when I was hired.
Gotcha.
In 2019. And then they hired 50 more a year ago. And that's where they're going to keep it at 100 altogether. Right. Because believe it or not, there's 3.5 million acres out there. But it's so inaccessible.
Right.
And we really have to drive the levees and the roads and wait for them to show themselves before we can catch them. I mean, it makes it really difficult.
Are there levees and roads right across the Everglades or not?
Yes, there are.
You've got Alligator Alley, obviously, but I mean, can you go back further south down towards 10,000 Islands? Are there places like with levees and roads that are not normally accessible?
Yeah. So 41, first of all, that's where I catch the majority of my pythons. I caught the 17-footer, 16, 15, and a couple 14s right on 41.
Right on 41.
Actually on the road.
Some of them were laying across the road. Some of them were in the brush, sticking their heads out.
So they like the road for the warmth? Is that why? Or nobody knows.
If anyone could answer why did the snake cross the road,
right,
that would be really helpful.
Well, that's awesome.
So they're just on their journey doing whatever they're doing, and there's the road, and they feel the need to cross it.
So I understand you go out at night mainly?
In the summer and fall, yes.
And what's the reason for the nighttime?
Because that's when they're active.
Okay.
Because they're not active during the day. It's way too hot. And so we go out at about dusk, a little after.
Which is late in the summer.
Yeah.
You're out, 8:39 at night, and staying out till how long?
I'll get home at 3:30.
Oh, wow.
Or sometimes.
So what's the process? What do you do? Run us through a day in the life of a hunter.
Huntress.
A huntress.
Well, when I had to learn how to wake up at 11 o'clock, which my whole life I woke up at 5:30, so it wasn't easy. But I will, of course, do all of the social media, product, skinning, all of that. And then at about 8 o'clock, depending on where we're going, I sometimes hunt by myself. Sometimes I have some of my assistants, or sometimes I'll go with another contractor. And we head out to either 41 or a levee. We've got keys to some of these levees that do cut across.
So you have a private.
And we hop in a truck and we turn the lights on. People get in the back. We've got a driver. And we're just spotlighting, going down really slow, looking for these pythons. And then as soon as somebody, sees a python, they yell, "Python!" And, the brakes are slammed. Sometimes people shift forward a little bit. But, and then we jump out and we grab the python.
Are they
by hand?
Do we have
do you just
yes.
grab it by hand?
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuff it in a sack?
Yep.
No
Are
way.
they quick? Will they scurry away? I don't know. Do snakes scurry?
No, that's a great question, because all of our native snakes, like the racers and the water snakes, you get near them, they take off. These guys, most of the time, they're just looking at you like, why are you standing here? What are you doing?
Not scared at all.
Not at all. And then once you grab them, then they freak out, and then they start going crazy. But they don't look at us as prey. We're not on the menu, and they don't look at us as a predator. I guess. So
they're just
unless on 41 though, sometimes, or when there's a lot of traffic, I found that they're a little edgier. They're more on point. And so they will get a little they'll get a little tense and then take off if you don't get out and get them quick.
Wow.
So,
That's crazy.
So the trucks, from what I've seen, just to describe people that haven't seen it, it's like what sort of truck do you use? Not that it matters, but you basically have a big rig on the back. Do you have a picture of it, Max?
yeah, it's just a red up 150.
It's a 150, and then you've got a rail on the top with all spotlights that go different ways.
I literally have magnetic lights that I just put on top of the cab. And then I also have these really powerful spotlights that are handhelds that plug into cigarette lighters.
Oh, okay. So you actually stand up. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Which you need to tell Nick. Nick, for some reason, Nick has a fascination with flashlights. I don't know why.
Oh
so
my
we'll
God.
have to...
What's wrong with a flashlight?
Nothing wrong with a flashlight. Here's an example of a python.
Oh,
How long is that?
yeah, that was 14.4 or 5, I think.
Really?
Yeah, we actually found her on one of the levees, and we brought her back to. Yeah, we took her back to take some pictures, and that's the guy I was with was taking a picture of me taking a selfie.
Snake
And then
selfie.
what happens to them once you get them back? So, or what? So you take them home. Do you euthanize them there, or do you?
No, I euthanize them at my house. I have a captive bolt gun that they use on pigs and cows. That
just a bolt.
Yeah, it goes into their brain and comes back out. So it's quick. It's relatively painless and it's not messy. It's not like a gunshot that, and you have to be very specific. So snakes, their brains are very, very small and you have to get it right in the brain to kill it. Otherwise I've found pythons that had 22 shots in their head and they're
still
fine.
going
Oh, they're
around.
still carrying on.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
and that's why people ask a lot, why don't you just shoot them with a gun out there? Why do you hand capture them? And first of all, it is messy and it's difficult to get it right where it needs to be. Because when you do put pressure on a snake or whatever, it will start moving. But also, after you shoot that, I mean, reptiles move for about 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
After
Really?
they're dead.
Just from their nerves?
Yes. And it's the creepiest thing. It's really
bet.
weird. And so, plus, because I skin, I have to have them fresh. And so I try to coordinate my euthanizing it with checking them in and then being able to skin them.
Okay. And I know from reading your website that you actually, that was the one thing that you didn't like, that was that you're actually killing these animals, but you've managed to overcome that by trying to make use of tell us a little bit about how you repurpose the actual animals.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I love snakes. And so people say, why the heck are you killing them? And I really came down here because I thought I could be an asset because I'm not afraid of them. I do know them, I understand them, and I'm fine getting them. So I can finally put my hobby to use and do some good in this world. And so, oh my God, what?
So
we were
it's
saying
how
after you-
repurposing. Repurposing. That's right.
So I don't like that I have to kill them, but we do. And I'm a hunter, I hunt whitetail and wild boar, but I hunt to eat. And so just wasting a python or a carcass of anything.
Just seemed
against
wrong.
your nature.
It sounds, I'm not okay with that. So I really wanted to find a way that we could continue to enjoy the pythons.
Right.
If they can't live with us, at least we can.
And you have super
honor them.
cool. Yeah. Show us some of your stuff
Oh,
that you
yeah.
brought, which is awesome.
Here's
And
an example
Max
of an
has some-
accessory. That's it's an actual living snake.
Yeah,
to,
that was my python next to my python bracelet.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a real python next to a python bracelet.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
And so you've
Full
got an
screen.
Apple
I
Watch.
do. I have an Apple
watch band
strands.
that's made out of blue or
Yes.
dyed blue.
Yes.
It looks super cool. And then you have the bracelets.
Yes, and I do have bracelets. These are men's and women's.
Yep. Here's a full screen image of those.
Very
Yep.
cool.
Very
And
my
what is your
gosh.
website, Amy, that people can find
It's
your products?
pythonhuntress.com.
Pythonhuntress.com.
Yes.
Love it.
Have you ever eaten one of the pythons? Can you eat the python?
Yes, and ish.
Okay. Interesting.
So yes, I have eaten them. I actually worked with a chef here in Fort Myers, and I brought him a carcass, and he made 4 dishes, and the dishes were very good. The python is really chewy.
Really?
Really
Super muscular.
really- yes,
Really?
and that's the thing. So people say, "Well, I eat rattlesnake." Well, rattlesnakes are venomous, so they don't need the muscles
Muscle
of a
to take
constrictor.
protection.
Oh,
So
that's
they're-
the difference.
Yeah, more tender.
right.
to eat.
What were the dishes that he made? Do you remember?
One, it was snake tacos.
Okay.
We had, I think, barbecue snake, pulled snake, I can't remember.
Well,
It was
and
a year or so ago.
that makes sense because when you eat gator, the only part they eat is the tenderloin, and the tenderloin is a joke, really, because even that is chewy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
not,
It's pretty
it's a
chewy.
tiny part of the gator that's really chewy anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so-
But the other thing is there's mercury levels
Oh, in
in
the
the Python, so it's not legal to sell or anything like that. They're still in the
Kind
process
of like
of testing.
barracuda. The
Yeah, how do you get
barracuda.
mercury from? I understand it from barracuda eating coral and stuff like that.
No,
How
it's the food chain. It's in the really small organisms that are eaten by the
okay.
bigger organisms that are eaten by the bigger organisms that are eaten by the pythons.
makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Okay,
Am I right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
okay, there we go.
I'm-
Perfect.
Python genius here. No, that
The scientific explanation.
Right. So
Big
a
things.
normal person, could we go out to the Everglades and hunt a python?
Yes,
Okay.
you can. Now there's some different rules though for the public. So if you are just rolling down 41 and you saw a python and you catch it, you have to kill it on the spot
Okay.
because it's illegal to transport a live python in Florida unless you are
Wow.
a python
Okay.
hunter.
that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, because we have this problem and they just don't want
Mm-hmm.
them selling black market, all that kind of stuff. So, so you do have to kill them on the spot.
Right.
So tell us about the book. What was the
You mentioned the python,
Python
hunt or
hunt?
the
The challenge.
challenge.
Yes.
Tell us all about that.
Well, that is interesting. We get a lot of people down here, and I think it's great to get the public involved. I think it's the only thing is they just need to make sure they know what a python is. As silly as that sounds, sometimes they get the native snakes confused with
Right.
the pythons.
Some of the rat snakes can have a diamondback type
Well,
coloring, can't they?
and the thing is too, it happened this year during hatchling season. So, the hatchlings are 24 inches, which are the same size as some of our native snakes.
Right.
So it's very, very easy to get them confused.
Gotcha.
Right.
So do you know, when does the python challenge run from? Do you know the dates or?
I don't know this next one. The first one was in January. This one was, I think it's because of COVID, it was in July. Nothing's been announced for
Right.
next year, so I'm not sure.
And is it just like a week-long challenge or a month?
I think this
or-
was 10 days.
Okay.
And it's just where members of the public can go out and find.
There's two categories. So there's the pro and then the
Amateur.
I guess it would be the amateur, and the pros are just the hired.
So it would be you, right?
Yeah, and then the amateurs are just the public, and so we just go out.
How does
and,
it differ for you guys if you're going out all year?
It doesn't.
Oh.
The public just takes away the snakes that we would have.
And I guess do they give a prize for
They
the
do.
longest?
Yeah, there is. There was
biggest,
a big prize this year. It was $10,000, I think, to whoever got the most.
or- Okay.
Really?
It
So-
was crazy.
So are people going out on airboats or are they?
No,
are they
just driving
just driving.
in the public area. So 41
Right.
in Big Cypress, Turner River Road, Wagon Wheel. Those are all public.
Right.
They just couldn't go back on the levees like that we can.
Right.
Right.
So
Right.
God. What's the biggest snake you said 17 feet, right?
17.3 is the biggest one I've caught.
And how much does that weigh?
She was 110 pounds.
110 pounds.
But here's the thing. So I caught her right after she came off her nest. Okay. So she hadn't eaten in about 5 months. And so she was,
Skinny.
She was skinny. If I would have caught her before she went on her nest, she would be 170 pounds.
Oh my
Really?
God.
No
So
problem.
I've heard you mention she a lot. Are they mostly
The
females?
big
that
ones
you
are
catch?
females.
Okay.
The big
Really?
ones
That's
are
just the-
females.
Is that because they have to
Way of
defend their
nature.
nest? I'm sure. Defend their nest,
They
evolutionary
do.
thing.
They are the only snake that stays with their nest.
Really?
Water snakes and boas, they give live births. All the other snakes lay their eggs and leave.
Really?
And the python is the only one that stays with her nest, and she curls around it and kind
And
of
for how
does a
long will
shiver.
she be there?
2 months.
2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Without leaving. And so the male is bringing it food or it just doesn't eat?
She just doesn't eat.
Really? Wow.
Women. They are.
Right? Right?
Women.
So is a python that large? Is that do we become predators to a python that large, or could it become a problem if you?
The good news is that it won't.
Okay.
Could a python this size eat me? Yes, for sure. It could. We found one with a doe and 2 fawns in it at the same time.
In.
Same time.
No.
I can't
way.
even imagine how that went down. But we are not on the menu. They do not look at us as food. And so whenever we get bitten, they just strike.
Okay.
They don't hold on. They don't try to wrap us. When they do try to wrap us, it's because we have them behind the neck.
So they're
and that's
trying
just
to
their
get-
natural
You said when we get bitten. I was going to ask you, have you been bitten?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Do you wear long gloves or you don't even do that?
No, there's
nothing that would stop, would it? Would anything stop a snake from grabbing you? Like, you'd have to be working. You'd have to be wearing body armor, wouldn't you?
Right?
There's nothing that would stop it.
Super sharp, crazy teeth that are hooked backwards. And yes, I have been bitten quite a few times. I was bitten in the hand by a 14-footer.
Ooh.
And I know there's a picture on my website and my social media, and you could see, because they have 2 rows of teeth on the top, and you could see both the rows in my hand. It was kind of cool.
So they get hold and let go, because some snakes don't. The venomous snakes will actually
they
latch on,
kind of like chew a little bit.
Yeah.
No, these guys, thank God, they just strike and let
snap
go.
and go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't know how that would work out if they chewed.
Is there a way to stop them wrapping you up? Like, obviously they try to wrap you up when you grab hold of them.
That's a great question. 2 things. So when they do wrap us, all they're trying to do is get away. So I just have to let go. The snake will take off, and then I can catch it again. So I'm never really in danger.
Right.
But the other thing is, when a python eats, any constrictor eats, they grab onto their prey and they do what we call throwing an elbow. So the top third of the body wraps first. They don't wrap with the tail first. They wrap with the top third of their body.
Okay.
So if I can keep that top third from wrapping, then I'm in pretty good shape. And so that's what I try to do with the big ones.
So you're stopping that first part of the snake from getting around anything.
Yes.
You're using your elbows to keep it from wrapping, or everything?
Pretty much
Feet,
everything,
knees.
depending
So
on
you're
how
just
big.
like-
I mean, well, my one friend, she's very tall, and she told me that she got her 16-footer or something. She just laid on top of it.
Really?
And like every time it would try to move, like she just kind of moved with it until it wore out. And so that's kind of, it's like, yeah, they will wear out.
Right.
The bigger ones wear out faster. So it's just kind of who has the most
Do you have a
strength.
special bag that it's just like a canvas sack that you put them in, or what do you?
Yeah, I mean, we were issued, they look like pillowcases.
Oh,
really.
right.
And then of course my mom, though, she made me special bags, because the bags that we're issued don't fit a 17-footer in there.
No, I'm sure.
So I needed a big
The big bags.
Yeah. So she made me some really giant bags
Oh,
that
that's funny.
fit the big ones. So
And does it calm them down once they're in the bag? Are they the same as
Yeah.
other breeds where they just,
they're pretty chill.
are they? Yeah.
They're usually worn out, but yeah,
Right,
they're
right.
I was going to ask you, how many eggs would a snake or a python lay?
it depends on the
normally?
size. It's typically 20 to 40, but a big one can have over 100.
Wow. So if they do that, then
And how often are they having babies?
Well, we thought it was every year, but now we think that it might be either every other year, or they lay 2, take 1 off.
Okay.
So, because a lot of research hasn't been done.
Right.
You know, it just hasn't, because it hasn't needed to be done, and it takes a while to get this data. So
Right.
we're doing it and we're collecting it. It's just kind of a slow go.
And there's no data from Burma?
from what?
No,
Oh,
they don't
Burma.
need it.
Oh, Burmese.
You would
Oh,
think.
gotcha.
Right.
You would think, but
Yeah.
funny enough, the Burmese pythons are endangered
In Burma.
in Southeast Asia, because people capturing from the wild to sell them.
No.
Is that the craziest
way.
thing?
Oh,
You're
okay. That
kidding.
is
Wow,
bizarre.
that is crazy.
That is really weird.
So in your hunting for pythons, as if that's not strange enough, tell us about some other things. Any interesting stories of other things that you've come across?
Well, I was taking some people. So I do auctions, and we're not allowed to take people from the public on paid hunts. It's against our contract, so we can't take people out. But I can offer hunts and auctions. So I was taking these people out in an auction, and we were going down the levee, and we were going kind of fast because it was raining, and my truck is only a single cab, and there were 3 of them. So 2 of them were in the back and getting a little wet. So I'm rocking it down this levee just to get out of the rain cloud. And Mama and 6 pigs decide to run right in front of my truck. So I slam on the brake. I about throw these people out of the truck. They didn't see these hogs. One ran behind them, and he was like, "Oh, look at the pig." I'm like, "You didn't see the first 6." So,
So you nearly lost your valuable
Yeah.
cargo.
and if I would have swerved, these levees are steep.
You would have been
It
in
would
the
have been bad.
levee.
So that was kind of crazy. But I've seen
Stopping.
bobcats, bears. I've seen owls carrying snakes.
wow.
I don't know. It's just all kinds of wildlife out there. In the winter, it's more of a day hunt. But as we're transitioning, all the migratory birds are coming back. So you just see so many birds out there. It's so cool. And even when they're roosting or in the rookeries or whatever, it's really cool.
So is this something you do 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
I try to do five days is what I try to do.
Yeah.
But again, right now we're kind of moving into the winter season and it's going to become day hunts. And so what we actually have to do, they're not eating, they're breeding. So, they're way far back in the woods, not moving. So we have to go find them. So I have this little boat that I call the hatchling, and I take it to the islands, and it is hard work because you get out on these islands and, they're uninhabited. And you just have to, we call it jungle busting, just jungle bust through. And I probably still have scrapes on me from the last time I went out, but I'll be bleeding. I've got bruises.
Oh my gosh.
My clothes are ripped. I mean, it's crazy. It's
How do you deal with gators and stuff like that? Is this area just too thick for gators, or?
The islands are, but the gators really don't want anything to do with you.
No.
When we do come across them, they usually just take
They
off.
dip.
The gators won't they don't feed on the pythons?
They do.
Yeah.
Depending on size, and pythons feed on the gators. Depending on size, like the bigger gators will eat the smaller pythons, and vice versa. But it's not a main.
It sounds like one of those silly sci-fi movies where you get the giant gator versus the giant alligator, or giant python.
Yeah, you should make
And
that
vice
Max.
versa.
Yeah. That's so funny.
So what other species of coral snakes in the what other venomous snakes have we got in the?
Sure, we've got the coral, the eastern diamondback, cottonmouths, and then we have the pygmy rattlesnakes.
Right.
So I've seen all of them. I saw my first coral snake a couple months ago. It was very cool.
Have you ever run into, had any run-ins with venomous snakes?
We see them a lot. I mean, we see cottonmouths all the time, and
Really?
and we see the eastern diamondbacks are so cool to see. And of course, I'm a herper. Okay, so what that means?
Right. Explain a herper, please.
Herpetologist.
Yeah. So the study of reptiles and amphibians is herpetology. So people that just enjoy studying them and going out and finding them and observing, we call ourselves herpers.
Okay.
So
I love it.
I'm a herper. And so seeing all of these other species out there, I didn't know Florida had so many snakes. I would have been here a long time ago. I had no idea.
And then other people would be leaving if they saw how many snakes there are.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's it. Go for it.
You go for it.
I'll
go for it.
A friend of mine has a place down in Naples called Engala, and his wife is what's the name for it?
Herpetologist.
Herpetologist.
Yeah.
And they have an amazing collection of snakes. And I'm like, well, I didn't realize that. Can you see these? And she said, absolutely. I could go and take you to one now. And I was like, you're kidding. And she said, no, they're common. You just have to look in the right spots. And she said, if I was looking, I could probably take you to just about every one of these species.
Wow.
And
she's better than I am. I don't know if I could do that.
We'll have to put you guys together.
Yeah, seriously.
What is it like your success rate? Like, do you see snakes every night, or do you expect to see one every couple days, or do you see multiple every day?
Yes.
Yes.
Every day is different,
To all.
obviously.
It is. So on average, it takes 12 hours to find one snake.
Really?
One python.
Wow.
Yeah. But sometimes I found, 7 in one night. I found 9 in one day. I've gone days without
Seeing
finding
them.
any. You just never know
Never
what's
know.
going to happen. And
Mother
we try to
Nature.
do it by weather. The days that we think, oh, this is going to be a great night,
Nothing.
we don't have anything. And then on the nights that we're like, I'm just going to go out, then you have this, epic night. So
When you're doing the day hunts, are they out sunning to get they're warm, or is it easier then? Are they
Yes.
sunning? They're cold blooded, obviously. So they're
Yeah,
I know
they
gators
are.
like the sun, obviously in the winter, so they're hanging out.
Yeah, they are basking in the winter, but it's very weather dependent. It has to be yucky and cold and rainy the day before, and then they're going to come out because when it soaks the ground,
That was
they
what I
have
was
to
getting.
come out.
Yeah. Okay. So then they really need to get warm. So
Right.
so that's how you're gauging what will be a good day and what will be a bad day, is like the run of the weather and
Right, and
Yeah.
but we still have no
Still
idea.
have no
I mean, we think we figured
think
one
you
thing
know?
out, and then they
Right.
prove us wrong, and
Yeah.
it's just like this
Gotcha.
thing that.
So do all those professionals live in the same area? Are you guys all over? Where you're down in Naples? Is that where you
Yep,
live?
I'm in Naples, so I'm on the east or on the west coast, and then we've got a lot of people in Miami. homestead up in Fort Lauderdale.
And I know you said something earlier, which I picked up on, was that you sometimes go hunting with other hunters. Is that correct? Yeah. What for what reason? Just you got better eyes or
more eyes?
More eyes. Yeah. Yeah. And what are you looking for? Are you looking for eyeballs? I mean, typically when you're hunting at night, you're using a searchlight. It's to illuminate the eyes. Is that or no? Doesn't work.
Nope. It would be way easier if it did, but it doesn't. But their body has kind of a sheen and shine to it,
right?
When we shine the lights on it. So we're looking for that. We're looking for pattern
because they're incredibly well camouflaged, aren't they?
That is, I did want to touch on that too. That is one of the big problems with us finding them is that we can't see them. So when I found my 17-footer, she was periscoping. So that means she was like straight up about 3 feet in the air. We don't really know why they periscope, but she was. And I just saw the white belly. And I thought, wait a minute, what was that? I'm going to back up. So I backed up and I saw the profile. I'm like, yep, okay, that's a snake.
She was still there.
Had no idea how big she was, but yes. So I pulled the truck all the way. It's like midnight. This is on 41. Pull the truck all the way over. I get back to her and she had gone down. It took me a good couple minutes to find her. She was 17 feet and I knew where she was.
And you still couldn't see her.
And I have the picture and it's kind of blurry, but I just saw a little bit of her pattern through the grass. And then it was like down a third of her body. And then I followed it to her head and
you're like,
it's like, oh
my
God.
Do you like wrestle with them? Just jump on them and roll them around until they tire out and stuff them in?
Well, that's
because if you do, I want to film it. This will be fun.
Yeah.
Well, yes. So with the big one, I used a head bag. And that's something that I just came up with because I knew I was going to find a big one on my own because that's when I was hunting a lot by myself. And so I had this little drawstring bag that I would bring with me. And I tested it out on 12 and 13 footers and it worked great. It just shuts them down. They have no idea. So I'm standing in front of the 17-footer with
and you're on your own.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me?
Bigger bag.
I know. So that worked. So once I got it on her head, it was fine. But now when I'm with somebody else, I use electrical tape to just tape their mouth. So if we can take that bite factor out of the equation, it's so much easier to handle it because I mean, it's a big bite, and especially with those big snakes, it's not fun.
And what's that called where they have the jaws that actually separate, don't they? That actually come apart?
Oh, yeah. I forget
Isn't
the
that
name
where
of
they
that.
Dislocating jaws.
Yeah, so as long as they can, and I don't know exactly what it's called, I probably should, but as long as they can get the head of whatever they're eating, I mean, they can expand. But the jaws, I mean, when they bite you, it's all together. I mean,
oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not separated.
And then as far as like the bones and stuff, do you do anything with the I guess the teeth or the?
Some of the skulls I have mounted. One of my friends in Ocala would take the carcasses and get them down to the bones and use them for education, but that's 4.5 hours away. And so I can't really take all my carcasses up there. So if there was anyone closer, I'd love to give the carcasses. Yeah. To
a
make
snake
more,
carcass.
Yep.
Give us a call.
Yeah.
There must be some sort of, it must be good for feed for something, I would think.
Yeah.
Here's some gators will eat it, but here's the funny thing. So some of my other friends that are hunters, they have a lot of property and they fish and hunt and everything, and they'll leave the carcasses out for the other animals, the wild animals. Nothing ever eats the snakes.
No way.
Isn't that weird?
They're picky.
I know, right?
They're just scared of them.
I think it's because they're not native
to
here.
So they don't know what it
weird
is.
smell.
I don't know, but it's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
So do your neighbors know what you're doing? You're bringing all these bags back, or are they like?
So I live in a condo.
Oh,
no.
Full of snowbirds.
No way.
And so I had to be very careful because I don't want to get kicked out of this place. I have live snakes. I have dead snakes. I have all kinds of things going on.
Yeah.
So I was very nervous. I was very nervous at first. And then somebody saw one of the pythons in a cooler or something, because I just ran to the dumpster for a second.
Right.
And I was like, I'll just be right back. And then I'm like, oh, they're like very, very interested though. Then some more people come. And then some more. So I'm giving this speech to 30 people. And I'm like, well, here we go. I'm either going to get kicked out or I'm not.
Right.
So they really, it's very cool in my
embraced it?
community.
Yeah.
They love it. They always
good.
ask me, "Hey, what did you catch today? And
yeah.
can I come
That's
over
neat.
and see it?" And you know,
And I think that is
You
a cool
bring it.
thing
You
about-
drag the things into your condo.
oh yeah,
Oh my god, that's insane.
oh yeah. Well, I skin on my lanai,
No.
and I hang the skins in my guest bathroom.
You don't have many people staying, do you?
It keeps people away. I'm like, sorry,
that's a good thing.
sorry, you
actually.
can't come and stay with me on your vacation.
Right,
because I've
living
got
in
snakes
Florida,
in
it's
my
a good.
bathroom.
Wow, we should do that technique, I guess, for our
That is
relatives that want to
insane.
come stay.
That's funny.
Got some
That
snakes.
is funny.
Oh my gosh! So, anything else that we haven't touched on that you want to talk about?
Oh,
as
how
far
many?
as-
Well, how many? I know you said there was 100 professional hunters.
Mm-hmm.
How many females doing it?
15.
15. Okay. And then how many in the world? I think there was. How
That's
many?
it. The world.
This is it.
Oh,
we are
and-
it. We are
and-
the only Python hunters.
Oh, really?
We're it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, pretty unique. Pretty
Yeah.
unique job.
Would you suggest it as a profession for somebody?
If you're trying to get rich, no.
Okay.
Like I say, snakes don't pay like houses.
Right.
I was a real estate broker before.
Right.
So that's why I do the skins and the products and everything.
Right.
If you like snakes, if you're not afraid, yeah, I mean it's a rush. It's
Exhilarating.
a rush.
Yeah.
Do you get hyped up if you see a big one?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So there's a video that I'm gonna have coming out pretty soon. It was my fiance was with me, and we caught the 16-footer. And when I'm honed in, it's like I don't know really what's going on. I'm just like trying to figure out what's. So I didn't know this until I watched the video. I had my GoPro on, and he said, "Wow." He goes, "How did you see that?" I said, "I'm awesome." I'm like, what? Why did I even say that? But like, what was that? So
you were just focused
in the moment.
but yeah,
in the
you
in the
are.
zone.
And you're just trying to figure out, okay, because it's a big snake and it is intimidating, and you're just trying to figure out what's the best strategy depending on where it is.
Yeah.
You know, I know I did post this on social media. I was by myself. It was a 15-footer. I didn't know it was that big. I stopped in 41 because the snake was kind of periscoping a little bit, but the gap between the woods and the road wasn't very big. So I didn't want to scare her. So I just said, I'll just park my truck in the middle of 41. There were cars, but they were far away. I could see the lights. I'm like, I'm just going to go out, grab her really fast and
Come back.
Bust
and
a
then
move.
like, yeah, and then pull off and
Make like the
to
wind.
So I get up to her. I'm like, oh God, her head was huge. And I was like, this is not a 10-footer. And so I grab her, and because I was by myself and I didn't have my head back because I didn't know she was that big. So what I had to do was hold her up, because their hearts are about a third of the way down their body, and it's designed to pump vertically, not horizontally.
Oh.
So if I can hold her up, that blood runs down and it takes some of her energy out of her. So I'm holding the snake up, and then I tried to put her on the ground to get the her head in the bag, and she wasn't cooperating. So I have to, hold her up again. I see a semi coming, and I'm like, oh, there goes my truck. Okay.
Oh no.
And well, he came to a complete stop to let another guy go by. And I was like, hey, come here and help me. Just like hold the bag for me.
This random man.
Just real quick, I got to
You went right
explain.
around.
I got to explain. If you don't know, US 41 goes all the way from. Used to go all the way from Ohio. It's like the Route 66 of Florida. It went from Ohio all the way down the west coast of Florida, and then crosses across Alligator Alley. It was the first road
not,
that
not
went
across the Alligator Alley, it's the new road.
across the Everglades. I'm sorry. So it is now 75 is north of that and runs parallel with it, and is the choice of road. So the road we're talking about is extremely remote. There's not much along it, and it's just a 2-lane road in the middle of nowhere. So just to paint a picture of where we are here. So you can jump out your car probably and expect, that somebody's not going to run you over instantly. So this truck driver ends up
Did he
going
actually
round
stop,
you.
or did he?
Oh no, he just went around.
Oh no!
I was like, thanks, dude.
Thanks.
Hey, here wrestling a 14-foot snake. Thanks a lot.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I didn't need him. I got
Yeah,
him.
exactly. Oh
Did
my
you
gosh.
got it? So I should think once they start going into the undergrowth, they're probably kind of hard to get
Oh,
back,
for
aren't
sure. Absolutely. They disappear.
Really?
They just disappear.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable. And that's why it's taken so long for us to realize that there was this problem, because the ones that people would find would chalk it up, as a pet that was released. Because you just don't see them that much unless you're looking for it. People that live here, unless it's dead on the road or they're out, at midnight, actually looking, or they go to an island in the wintertime, they're probably not going to see
Never
one.
gonna see
Right.
one.
I've never seen one.
If you get one in the middle of the skin, this may be a silly question. How do you know whether to head north or south to the business end or the?
Well,
How are you finding the head? Which way are you going for? Is there something on the skin? Like, because you're saying you can only see a portion of the body.
How do you know?
How do you know which end
way
is the head and which way is the tail?
sometimes you're like, well, I'm just going to have to guess on this one.
Oh, you just
The
keep.
scales do go a certain way, but sometimes it's very difficult to tell sometimes. So you just have to kind of.
Right. Hope
Look
for the
out.
best.
So you just look. I guess most of the time it's probably not an issue. Is
Yeah,
it?
it usually
Most of the time it would
isn't.
show its face, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
usually it does, and you want to catch them behind the neck. I mean, that's how you want to do it. Sometimes you just can't. You just have to grab wherever before it gets
How
away.
do you tell if it's a male or female? Just from the size, or is there a way to?
So the males have claws, like little bitty claws. They're remnants of legs by their vent
Really?
on their tail,
I've seen that. Yeah.
and the males they're bigger, and the females are very, very tiny or non-existent. You can tell by the head size, usually, depending on how big the snake is. I can usually tell if it's a male head or a female head, even on the smaller snakes. But
Interesting.
yeah,
But you
Wow,
take
so
both equally, yeah. You
Yeah.
take, and do the males don't get as big, or
Nope.
They don't.
Nope.
Yeah.
And how about, do you get paid by the foot? Is that how it works, or is
Yes,
it just like
so-
a flat fee?
I get paid $10 an hour just to be out there. So I have tracking software that I kind of clock in and clock out on. And then I get paid $50 for the first 4 feet, and then $25 a foot after.
After that,
Wow.
That-
Wow. So you've got to catch snakes.
Right. Like I said, doesn't pay like houses.
right.
That is
So
nuts.
yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
definitely visit Amy's website. The stuff she's making is super cool. Needs
Yeah,
some
it's
Christmas
incredible.
presents,
And you
anything.
can, yeah, I mean, if you
Yes.
want an original Florida gift, there's nothing better. And this will be out before Christmas, so make sure you hit it up before then.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's really cool because, this is this is an invasive species. These have to go. So any products that people buy that are made from Florida python is really helping our cause because the Asian python, they're raised on farms for their skin. And the thing about the Asian pythons are, they can have, they're all the same color, same patterns, basically, because they can do that. They can breed them that way. These guys are all different. They come from all different, genetic backgrounds.
Right.
And
So every skin is different.
every
Is that-
single skin is different. And even the general pattern is different. The color is, some are light, some are dark. So it's crazy.
Right.
So it's
Actually,
a
I
really
want to tell you what
unique
Max
thing.
said. But while we were waiting for you to come in, Max was looking at your website, or we were looking at your website, and then Max was looking for a camera strap for a camera. And he said, I wonder if Amy would be able to make me
Camera strap.
a snakeskin strap. I was
No,
like,
I guess
kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So do you take custom?
I've got a
Requests
guy.
now?
I don't really do the custom, but
Okay.
I do have a guy that
You
that
can
can do
refer
it.
people?
Mhm.
Okay.
I guess if obviously there's a negative connotation to snake skins or animal skins at all. So this is actually having a positive impact on the
Right.
the environment rather than what you may think.
Exactly.
Which is
Exactly.
nice.
So it's very unique.
Fantastic. And I'm sure we've left a ton on the table.
I
but,
know,
yeah,
it's
but
just
Max,
so
I do want to add one
Yeah,
thing.
go-
though.
yeah, go for
please
it.
do.
'Cause I learned this the other day and I thought it was really cool. I get asked a lot, well, these pythons live in Asia, along with reticulated pythons that get to be 30 feet long. They all live in the same area. And why is it not a problem with the mammals there? Why do they not? And you just say, oh, it's like that's where they're from. So it just works, right? They have the same, like alligators, crocodiles, jaguars, I think they have there instead of our, panthers. Everything's about the same, except they have
Birds.
king cobras.
King.
King
Really?
cobras only eat other snakes. And they can get to be, I think, like 16 feet long. And so pythons are one of their main.
Source of food.
Yeah.
And obviously, yeah.
So,
Cobras are
That's
highly
how I-
venomous.
and that's why they have so many babies, because there's so many,
Wow.
right?
And can a king cobra just take out a python in one bite just with its venom?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so scary. I'm so glad we don't have like crazy
Yeah, I know, so
venomous
then-
Don't
snakes.
anybody introduce us.
Yeah, please, no one bring any king cobras to Sanibel.
So I'm guessing you would not. Would you recommend people not have these as pets, or
No.
You can't. It's not legal, is it?
Yeah,
Is
it
not-
actually
so
isn't
not
legal.
even
It's
legal
not.
It
anymore?
is.
Oh, I
in,
didn't know
you
that.
Just not in Florida and in northern states, because if you let a snake go in Ohio,
It's just
you
gonna
might
die.
have a couple missing pets during the summer. But
right? But not.
With
Not
the
if
winter
freeze
it's
over.
done,
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's illegal to have. If you do have them, you have to go through this rigorous licensing process,
Gotcha.
and FWC has to check everything. It's a whole thing. So
I guess if it was released pets, there's other constrictors that people keep as pets. Do you see any of those out
we
there?
do. We've found anacondas. We found reticulated pythons, boas. They don't really. I think the boas actually have a breeding area in Naples, but they haven't really.
They haven't
It's
affected
taken
the-
in the environment.
Well, and the Burmese pythons were so popular because they're generally very docile snake. They're very nice. They make great pets because they're so cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Right,
and
so
like
that's
the reticulated pythons that get 30 feet long, they're mean, they're aggressive, they're awful, awful, awful. So if we had a problem with them, this would be a whole different ballgame.
never
We
leather.
would be on the menu.
Oh
Really?
gosh,
For
that's
sure.
scary.
Really? And where are they from?
Southeast Asia,
Oh, really?
same area.
Okay. Okay.
Wow. How much would you have to feed? If like you had this for a pet, are you feeding it once a month? Do you know the answer to that?
It just you can they can live off not very much, but to get them big, I mean, when this size, I don't probably eating like chickens and
right.
stuff. I probably shouldn't say stuff like that on air, but yeah,
I'm
I mean,
sure
and here,
that's-
if this tells you anything, so people also say, is this worth it? You know, there's between 100,000 and 300,000 pythons out there, and we've since the program started got maybe like 10,000 or something.
Wow.
So that's not a lot,
No.
especially with them reproducing and so on. So is it worth it? Will we make a difference? And in 20 years from now, yeah, probably. I don't know though. But every single python that we take out is making a difference because it takes a python 3 years to get to be 10 feet long. And it takes 200 mammals and birds to get it there. So
Oh, wow.
and that's just, and they live for 25 years. So every single one we're taking out is literally saving the lives of hundreds of our mammals and
That's
birds.
awesome.
Awesome.
We need to
Good
get some, we need to get some
job.
king-
I love that.
King cobras on the roster.
Yeah. No.
We'll take him out real quick.
That is so cool. Max,
right.
you got anything for us?
Yeah, I got some
Sanibel
Sanibel-centric reptilian questions.
Okay.
So he always favors the guest, so you're going to be all right.
Oh, yeah. Great. Trivia is not my strong suit.
You know,
I don't know. These ones might be hard. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. We'll see.
Okay.
It's just
Oh,
for
boy.
fun. You
All
get
right.
to ring a bell at the end, so there's big prizes.
All right. So this is as listed by Ding Darling, so not set in stone.
Right.
But Ding Darling seems to be the nature forefront on Sanibel.
Yep.
How many snakes are native to Sanibel Island? Species.
How many
How many species of snake
are native to
Sanibel.
Sanibel?
Yeah.
Just to Sanibel.
known to be native to Sanibel?
All right. I don't. We're just putting a number. We don't have to name these species.
No,
do we?
I'll name them after you guys.
Okay.
After you guys go ahead.
Okay. I
okay.
don't know.
I would have no idea if I wasn't the trivia master, but
If
I
you
could
have
literally Google the
Google.
answers, so.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, Nick, what'd you have?
Oh, I don't think there's any venomous, but I might be wrong on that. But I think there's 5.
I put 9. I started with 5 and I crossed it out and went for 9.
I have 15.
15?
All right.
Dad, you're actually the closest. It's 3. It's only 3.
It's only
Really?
3. Okay.
Yeah,
which are
apparently pythons haven't made it out here.
Nope.
Thank
As-
goodness.
I did know that.
We got
You didn't know that?
cobras.
Really? Yeah, we got king cobras. Yeah, no, there's only 3,
Which are?
which are.
Dun, dun, dun.
I thought I just deleted the note. The yellow rat snake.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yep.
Well, the black racer. Well, we know that one. The black racer.
Yeah, the southern black racer and
Yeah.
the mangrove salt marsh snake.
Never heard of it.
Yeah,
Those are the coolest snakes. I've not seen one since I've been here. They are so cool.
you might have to head
Really?
over to Ding Darling and see if you can
We're
find
going.
one.
I have
Colourful?
to.
They're colourful?
Yeah,
They
they're
sound
black
like
and
it.
yellow.
Really?
They're really cool.
All right, so
All right. keep
branching
your eye
off of
out.
that,
Okay.
of the 3 snake species listed, how many are venomous?
See? I gave that away.
All right.
And I think I need 3 points for this because I gave it away.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say none, but
I
None.
said 0.
Amy.
I have one sort of.
Really?
Okay.
Well, the mangrove snake has, I forget now if it's rear fanged, but it has a little bit of venom, but I don't think it's like deadly or anything.
Deadly.
Officially titled as
Okay.
venomous.
Point to Amy for the extra tidbit.
there we go. There we go.
With the information that Ding Darling wasn't giving me.
Okay.
All right.
But those are generally not venomous snakes.
Okay.
Right.
So 1, 1, and 0 to me. All right.
All right, and this
the
one is
last
going to be a complete crapshoot, I think.
Okay.
But we're taking a sidestep, still reptilian. One of the most notable reptiles on Sanibel is its alligators, or are the alligators. However cute they may be, they cannot be fed. What is the fine for feeding an alligator on Sanibel Island?
Did we got pictures of one yesterday, didn't we, Max?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
We did a job yesterday. We were doing
Mom,
Oh, you got
no,
picture-
a
It was
survey
you.
job yesterday, and we were surveying this lake to see if aerators were working, and there was a friendly alligator swimming across the middle around this residential area.
All right.
All right, Amy, what you
Amy.
got?
I have 500.
I put 500.
I put 500
You all right? Well, you're all right. How did you all know that?
because we've only read 7 million signs.
Signs.
I know,
That is-
but I didn't know if that was true for Sanibel. I thought maybe
Yeah.
it could be more.
Yeah.
That was a question by David Simmons. Thank you, sir.
That's a good
Oh,
one.
David
David.
Simmons
David.
always writes in. Thank you, David.
Thank you, David, for
Yeah.
the questions.
And if anybody has trivia questions you
Email
want to
me.
quiz us with.
Maxwell
Yeah.
Adams
Max.
98. MaxwellAdams98@gmail.com.
All right.
Oh,
So was it a tie? I forget.
No, I think I won.
No.
No, it's a 2-1-1 tie.
There you go.
that
You get to
Amy.
ring the bell, Amy.
Good job.
Perfect.
All right, Dad, give us a closing.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and
you for
I'm
having
sure
me.
I hope we have. If anybody's got any questions, let us know.
Right. Tell us your Instagram and your Facebook and.
Yeah, so I'm
how to-
Python Hunter _ Amy on Instagram, and my Facebook is actually I have a Python Huntress page now, or just Amy Siewe, and I'm on YouTube.
And spell Siewe for us.
It's SIEWE.
All right.
Yes.
SIEWE. Perfect.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Much appreciated. Totally fascinating subject,
Yeah.
and I think we asked some completely nerdy, irrelevant questions. But however, it was very cool. I'd like to thank our supporters: Bailey's General Store, Doc Ford's Rum Bar and Grill, Spoondrift Island Bowls, Three Crafty Ladies, one you'll like, Gator Bites Tail and Ale, Priscilla's of Sanibel, Coco E Cabana, and Suncatcher's Dream. Thanks very much,
you.
guys. Come and join us on the next one.